We are here with architect Gerry Torres, and he is the director of the Center for Campus Art of the Benil.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Gerry Torres. I am the curator of this exhibit. And Lei was asking me about what this section is, where we are standing. So this section of the exhibit are images of the more iconic buildings of Leandro Locsin, because he did more than 200 buildings.
Wow, 200 buildings.
Yes, but these ones here I selected depending on typology, building typology. So this one here are houses, this one are churches, these ones here are exhibit spaces, performance spaces, a special section for the PICC, then hotels.
I like this piece because I'm very intrigued by it, and you were saying that this was the first project by architect, the Church of the Holy Sacrifice in the University of the Philippines.
This project was the first commission of architect Locsin. It was made in 1955, and he was commissioned by the chaplain of UP, Father Delaney.
So what is so special about this residence?
These are the residences, the houses that were designed by Locsin. This was his house, and then this is a house of a client. Now, I chose these houses because they were designed in 1962, 63, the early part of the 60s. But the influence of these houses carried on until the 1970s. No? And it was revolutionary because he used parts of churches and old buildings and incorporated into his houses. Locsin did it in this house, and this eventually influenced house design, residential design in the late 60s and then all the way to the 70s. Bricks from old churches, balusters, arches with trellis designs, and also pedrachina that were used as ballast by the Chinese junks who would go to the Philippines before the Spanish arrived to trade. No, so Locsin was one of the biggest collectors back then, incorporated all of his collection into his houses. We were fortunate that the CCP, during their 50th anniversary, created a model of the Pambansang Teatro because Locsin did not make a model in 1968. This is not the model of Locsin. This is a new model that was made by the CCP. And it's interesting when you look at this model because you realize that above this block, which is like the facade and the roof of the CCP, we always look at it from down here. So when we look at it, we think that's the only thing that's happening on the roof. But actually, there are still these blocks. This would be the theater. This would be the fly sections of the theater. And so from this point of view, you can see that there are other things happening
like that
behind the CCP. Because usually it's like that. You know, we only see that. Sometimes we don't even see this. Because if you're down here, I mean, you can look at the scale of the people. So we only see this block, which was deliberately done by Locsin, of course.
Yes, and this was a very brutalist type of architecture, and during that time, it wasn't embraced, right?
It was relatively new. 1968, brutalism was not yet, as accepted. But I think when the CCP was finished, the Filipinos, automatically liked it because
something new.
It's like a piece of sculpture. And if you look at the interiors, you can see how sculptural it can be. It can be, especially with the play of light and shadow. No, now remember back then, the bay was not yet as reclaimed as it is now. If you look at this photo, you stand by the CCP, you can still see the waters of Manila Bay. Yeah, so I think Locsin designed it with the view.
With the vision of the view.
And the sea beyond it.
And I think he would imagine it during the sunsets, the marvelous sunsets.
Definitely. And at night, this would be lit. And there, he created there's a pool in front that would reflect the building. So there's like a mirror effect. Okay, so this was a project of our students. Their fourth year. And we asked them to respond to the architecture of Locsin by creating their own project, which is a architecture. The students took the elements of brutalism and also Locsin's interpretation and then made a new interpretation. That's why it's called New Brute.
New Brute.
This
Oh,
is
I like the word.
That's the title of the project. And so it shows how our students were able to understand Locsin. We always do this in the CCA. We always get students to react to whatever shows we bring
And
in.
challenge them to take their own spin.
Take their own spin and create new content, no, under new designs. Because for me, it's the only way to let them learn about whoever we're exhibiting. And I also believe that the gallery is an extension of the classroom.
So this piece is inspired by what?
Well, still brutalism, but because they reacted already to brutalism, one of the features of brutalism that they thought was not as applicable today is the sense of darkness, no, because of the solid wall. So that's why they perforated the walls of the building to be able to admit light, no. So that's the students' way to react against Locsin. It's
Mr. Gerry
a
here
learning
is also
space.
a faculty of the College of St. Luke.
Yeah, I teach at the architecture program. My specialization is history of architecture. So this is along the lines of history of
Can we see
architecture.
the other one?
Don't, yeah, I think as an architect, you can't help but be, familiar with art. But I am, in particular, quite familiar with art and its history, evolution, practice. So yeah, I think I am.
What are your design inspirations?
In terms of Locsin, especially when I was researching about this project, I learned more about him and I sort of understood what he was doing. So I'm sure eventually when I do my own designs, something about him will come out. Internationally, I've always liked Le Corbusier
Le Corbusier.
because he was really, for me, the original brutalist.
Oh, you should show us your masterpiece down there at the generator. Maybe we can show it later.
Which was inspired by a project of Le Corbusier.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Especially
Villa
when it's
Savoy.
lighted. Yes.
In France.
Yes.
Is the inspiration of that building.
Yes.
But now that I'm studying Locsin, I'm understanding that he came from the context of practicing in the Philippines.
Yes.
No, using our own materials, which is concrete, the most plentiful even today because now we don't have wood.
Yes.
And then responding to the climate of the Philippines, and especially nowadays with the advent of climate change,
Yes.
perhaps we can look back at how the previous architects in the country were able to manage,
Mitigate all the natural disasters.
to respond to the climate of the Philippines, but maybe rethink it because now we have climate change. So we have stronger storms, we always have chances of floods, and so also heat. It's become hotter. So how do we as architects now respond to that? Taking from the lessons.
So
of
these are
previous
the
architects.
impacts of how being a designer would be for you.
For an architect, yeah.
Yes.
Climate is definitely very important because architecture is shelter.
Yes.
And so how you design your shelter is not just about, aesthetics or having this impressive form. It's really also about how the space will function in terms of creating comfort and protection and also, a sense of security for those who are inside the building.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
Sir
you.
Gerry, for
Thank
your
you, Tulay.
time and for discussing with us the things that we don't know about Sir Gerry.
Thank you
Thank you
too.
so
Thank you. And please, I hope people will come. We are on until December
Yes.
14. And so do
December
come.
14th.
December 14. We are open Mondays to Fridays from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturdays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So please come. I think we're very generous when it comes to the time that we're open, the 6 days a week. And so I hope you can all visit.
Okay, thank you so much.
Poet of
I'm
Concrete.
sure they will marvel at your exhibition. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.